Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Today I've got a very special guest. I'm delighted to be joined by Connor, who is actually part of the YouTube channel about United, and he chats about the women's team mainly, all for United women, which I think is amazing to see, that out there, more recognition for women's football. And I think I've really enjoyed watching your stuff, so I'm really happy to have you on here today. How are you doing? I know it's been a bit of a crazy week, as we were saying off air, but how are you managing with it all?
No, firstly, thanks for having me on. So it's great to be on here, and yeah, it's it's like United have like stacked all the announcements in one go and just gone.
Yeah.
We had nothing for like however many weeks, and then like announcement after announcement, just one after the other in a few days.
It's like you said, it feels like it's all just happened at once throughout the week. It's for me, I'm surprised. I mean, I'll start off by asking you. I'm going to speak about Katie Zellum first because for me, I think a lot of us heard rumors about it, and I think, it said she was open, she was undecided, and I thought, okay, she's keeping her options open. And I think that's not a bad thing to do. And then all of a sudden, she's left United. I mean, what are your thoughts? Are you surprised by this? Like, what was your initial reaction when you heard this news?
Yeah, it's a really tough one, this, because again, obviously, captain the side, played pretty much every minute.
Yeah.
There's been loads of different reports in terms of what's actually happened with Zellum. The information I had is that she wasn't offered a contract, so I don't think she really had a choice in this decision. So that for me makes it a little bit worse, because I don't know how you can go from being the captain of the side playing most minutes to then not being offered a deal. I think that's pretty poor from the club's point of view, to be honest. So yeah, it's sad to see her go, because I think you only have to look at what the players have said in their posts since she left about how much she did for the players off the field. I think that speaks volumes in terms of what she's done and fighting for the players. So it's a surprise. I think she's going to be missed a lot more than I think people think, just purely because of what she does for the players off the field.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was looking at, Tooney and all of those posts, and I think it's great to see that love and support and appreciation for her, because I do think, like you said, I think she's a player that probably doesn't get that recognition. What she's done for United, childhood club, is absolutely amazing. And I think, she feels as though even if maybe she wasn't offered a new deal, she might feel, it's the right time to take that step and try a new challenge. I mean, as well with Mary Epps, I did listen to your podcast about it, and I know you said it was always you didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, I did lots of shows about it as well, and I know there was links to Arsenal at one point, but I knew for me that was always a dream, and never thought we would actually get her. And so I never thought we would, but I always felt that she should win silverware, and I know she won the FA Cup, which is an amazing for United, just coming up and growing as a team. But I think for me, it kind of maybe feels like the right time, like you said. I think for her career, for the Lionesses, she's doing amazing. She's had a lot of success there. I know she mentioned in her Instagram post, she obviously thanked the fans, but she also said the club were going in a bit of a transition, and she's trying to say basically she doesn't want to be part of that. I mean, what did you make of that? I mean, because a lot of people might have been surprised that she was quite, honest and open about that.
I thought it was a really well written statement. I think with Mary, she's going to be honest, and you can tell. I think there's a lot of criticism of footballers that they don't write their own stuff, and maybe their PR team write things. I think you can tell Mary wrote that, and she meant every word of it. And she's not wrong. The club is going to go through a transition. Obviously, Ineos are still within their first year of the kind of the minority takeover and so on, and what they're trying to do. Obviously, the stories around the women's team at the moment is not great. The club is going to go through a transition. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better anyway. And she's at a point in her career. She's 31. She's just won the FA Cup. Is it going to get any better at United over the next couple of seasons? Probably not. I don't think we're going to be winning the WSL in the next couple of years. We might surprise everyone and do it, but at the moment, as it stands, I don't think we're going to be fighting for that. So she needs to be playing in the Champions League. Her profile has never been bigger than it is right now. She's one of the most known players, I think, in the world, particularly in women's football right now. So she needs to compete for trophies. She's going to do that at PSG. They got to the semi-final of the Champions League last year. So for her, she's not wrong. She needs to go and fight for those. The club probably aren't going to match that in terms of fighting for the top prize. So I think she's made the right decision. I think she was right in what she said. It is going to be a transition. If she's maybe 25, 26, she can probably sit it out for a couple of years and sit through that transition. But as I said, she's 31. This is probably her last big contract. So yeah, she's not wrong in what she says, and fair play to her for actually coming out and saying it, because she's one of the few players I think that's actually given a reason as to why she's left. And to be honest, I think that helped her, because obviously the links to Arsenal that you mentioned earlier about last summer, that kind of dented her relationship with the United fans a little bit, because it was like she was kind of flirting with the idea of going there, and I think United fans have gone, "What are you doing?" But I think that relationship's been rebuilt, and certainly that post I think has helped her.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, you say that, because it was kind of like Russo when she was at United. I think I always felt that was a dream to have her, but I always felt almost felt like it would happen. I mean, with Mary Earps, I feel like she loves the United fans too much to do a move like that. I don't think she would ever go to a team, in the WSL, really, because I think it would maybe affect, the relationship they once had with United. So I think her going to PSG, going abroad, I think that's probably a good move for her. Especially like you said, the Champions League, they've been, they've been really successful there, like you said, getting semi-finals. And I think with Mary, I think they're only going to get better. So I think, obviously a big loss for United, but I think, like you said, she's getting a bit older now, and these are really important times in her career. Like you said, maybe if she was a bit younger, she could stay here for a little while, but I think now is probably the right time. And she has been at United for a while, and I think it's amazing that she's obviously left on a high, winning the FA Cup. You could see how much that meant to her as well. I mean, talking on the United captain situation, I've seen a lot of fans mention Ella Toone. I mean, in your head right now, who would you feel like would be the best player to be the United captain for the future?
I think there's probably two strong candidates, and I think that's between Hayley Ladd and Maya Le Tissier. Both have captained their teams at younger ranks, and Hayley Ladd captained Wales recently as well. I understand the Ella Toone shouts, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets it. However, I think there's more when you're a Manchester United captain, and it'll be the same for Arsenal. So there's so much you have to do off the field. Things with the player relationships and with the club and so on, and you've got to you're kind of the middle person between the players and the board, and you've got to do all of those things away from the pitch. I don't think Toone, maybe she doesn't want that. She's a busy girl as it is. I think she's got enough going on, so she might not want that. However, that's not to say she wouldn't make a great captain, but I just feel like the likes of a Hayley Ladd or a Maya Le Tissier, it's a bit more, I guess. I view them as more of captain material than maybe an Ella Toone. Millie Turner's another shout as well. I think could potentially be one of those, but again, I feel like she goes into the Toone category of maybe you wouldn't want it, but I don't think I would prefer that. The other option is United go down the route of similar to what they did with the men's team. I can't remember if it was last season or season before, where you have like a club captain and then you're on the field captain. So Harry Maguire was that club captain off the field, didn't play as much, and then you have your on the field one. So whether they go for like a Rachel Williams type player that's like your club captain that deals with all the stuff off the field, and then like a Maya Le Tissier who is going to play pretty much every game as your on the field captain, that might be something they go for.
Yeah, I think with Toone, I think it's a lot of responsibility, being a captain, and there's a lot of things you have to do. And I think like you said, she loves the club a lot, and she's got a lot of experience as well. But I think, like you said, I think it's so much time you've got to do. And I mean, for Arsenal women, I think someone like Kim Little is like perfect for that role, because she's obviously won a lot in her career, but she's also got the time to do those things off the pitch. And I think there are a lot of good options there. I think Millie Turner as well is a good option to have. I think she's a fantastic player, especially for England. But I think Maya Le Tissier, I like her a lot. I think I could see her in that role as well. I think it's going to be a big decision to be made, but I think it'd be an important step for the club, especially with Katie Zelem leaving as a captain. I mean, what do you make of her as a captain, since she's been here?
I'm going to be incredibly biased. I think on this because I think people know my connections with the Zellums. So to me, she's just an exceptional cap. Everything I've heard about her as a person away from football and know from speaking to people in and around her that, you know, how much she is respected by the other players. I think, you know, there's been a lot of criticism about her ability on the pitch. Some of it's fair. And I think, you know, that's fair enough. But off the field, I don't think it can be understated how much she did for the players this season and really fought for them with various issues that have been going on. So as a captain, I don't think we're going to get much better than what we saw from her. You know, she was playing in a position last season that she probably didn't want to be playing, you know, in kind of the more of the defensive role. I don't think that's her best position. She didn't moan about it. She didn't kick up a fuss. She just played there and did the job for the team to the best that she can. So again, I think that when I look at a captain, that's what you want. A player that's not going to kick up a fuss, that's not going to do all those things, fighting for the girls off the field. But also when you're asked to do a job on the field, she just got on and done it and took the brunt, took a lot of the blame. You know, when results weren't going well, she was the kind of scapegoat for a lot of it. It was always, we've lost with Zellums for in midfield. And she took all that, ignored it all, and just got on with the job. So I don't think her professionalism can ever be questioned. And I think whoever picks her up next is going to be incredibly lucky to have a player like that in and amongst the team. You need a squad. You need the squad unity to be strong. You can have 11 individuals or 20 individuals that are great technically on the pitch, but you need good characters in and around the squad to keep the squad together and get that unity and the bond there. Otherwise, you're not going to perform particularly well.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that. I think from what I've seen, I think she was definitely the right fit. I know some of her performances, you know, people question that, but I think, like you said, she never complained about that. She always did the job that she had to do, and I think she's going to be missed. But I think, she's been an incredible captain. I think she's a great captain. And I wanted just to say hi to a few people in here. Hi, Georgia Leah. Going to be a big loss for United on and off the pitch. Yeah, definitely. I think with the players that, you know, you're moving on, it's going to be tough for next season. But talking about the summer, like for you, what would you say some of your main positions that you need to strengthen in? I know obviously with the goalkeeper situation, that could be something as well. But what would you say your main positions are? And are there any players that you have in mind that you'd like to see bring to the club?
Just before I get to that, I just want to pick up on what you just said there about kind of the change going into next season. I think that's going to be it when you're talking about the players, the two players in particular. I know Lucia Garcia as well, but there's not been a United women team without Katie Zellum, and there's not been a WSL game where Mary Earps has not started for United Women. So as fans, we've never ever seen a United Women team without Zellum in it. We've never ever seen a WSL game that doesn't have Mary Earps in goal. So that's two massive changes going into next season. That it's going to be a change regardless which way you look at it. In terms of positions, I think the one bit of credit I will give United, they were very clever, I think, in signing Fallon Tullis-Joyce last summer in preparation for Mary going. So Fallon's already had that year to bed in at United. She understands the culture, the coaching staff. She's got that relationship already. So I think I don't. This is a big debate at the moment among United fans whether United should be going out and buying a goalkeeper and so on. I personally wouldn't. I don't think we need to. I think Fallon stepping up as number one and Saf Middleton Patel goes number two. I think that is fine. I don't think we should be going out and spending money when that money can be spent elsewhere, because I don't think it's a priority. Midfield, definitely we're going to need a defensive midfielder. We've been after that for a while. We've got one in Hayley Land, but she just seems to have fallen out of favour at the moment and it's not playing as, but we definitely need a defensive midfielder. We're going to need a couple of forwards. There's obviously talk about Melvin Mallard and Elizabeth Turlin at the moment. Two amazing forwards. I hope we get that over the line. But I still think we're going to need more. We've already lost Lucia Garcia, potentially losing Nikita Paris as well. That's 20, 30 goals already that you're potentially losing. There's still talk about Rachel Williams. I think she will stay, but if she doesn't stay as well, that's another 15 off the list as well. So I think we're going to need it. I think we needed a forward anyway before anyone left, and we're already losing potentially two. So I think we definitely need a couple of forwards. So yeah, I think probably another winger, definitely a striker. I think Turner's going to be that striker. Definitely a defensive-minded midfielder. We definitely need a fullback cover because last season we were struggling big time fullback cover. and potentially one other defender. Other than that, I think we're okay with Grace Clinton coming back into the midfield, Emma Watson coming back in from her injury, Gabby George coming back as well. They're kind of like new signings anyway, because we've not seen them for United fully yet. So I'm not too worried about those positions, but yeah, definitely those ones that I've just mentioned there, we need to get nailed down.
Yeah, it's so tough. I mean, going into next season as well, like I said, without Katie Zellerman, without, they've played so much football throughout the season in cup games as well. It's going to be quite strange as well not to have them. But I know you've obviously still got some amazing players around the team. But like you said before, the title is obviously quite tough to win. I mean, Arsenal, we really struggle. I mean, we get top 3, and I suppose to other teams that is good, but for us, we need to start winning it. And I know for you guys, the season before last, you got really close. Now, do you know what? I was ashamed we didn't win it, because I know Chelsea always win it, and I think it's always nice to see another team go for it. I mean, I know you said next season you probably don't expect to win it, but how do you feel about going into next season? Like, I know you've lost a few players, I know you could lose some more, you could bring some good players in, but what do you expect to see from the team? Like, do you expect to maybe win any competitions? I know the FA Cup, I think, to win that was amazing, but just talk to me about your thoughts going into next season.
It's a really tough one. This depends, because we could have one of our best ever summer transfer windows in terms of the players that we sign. But I just think there's going to be too much change. Like a change of captaincy, change of key goalkeeper in the league. There's a lot of change. There's still a bit of unrest in the squad from last season as well. We didn't have the best league campaign. Well, we didn't have the best. We had our worst league campaign last season. So there's going to be change there as well, unless unrest from there. The FA Cup win obviously was amazing. Obviously, I would like us to get back to the final again. 2 years in a row got to the final, won one of them. So I'd like to get us back to the final again. In terms of the league, I think most United fans are realistic enough to just hope for the top 3, try and get back into the Champions League. We need to get back ahead of Liverpool again, because obviously they leapfrogged us last season in the league. So where I think we're going to be is kind of around the 4th spot, fighting for 3rd. I think that's probably about where our squad is right now.
Yeah.
And then potentially push for a trophy, whether that's the Conti Cup or the FA Cup, and just see where we can go with that. I think anything more than that will be an absolute bonus, because as Mary rightly put in her Instagram post, this is a transition period, and it's going to take, I think, a year, 2 years to fully establish yourself back in the top, kind of top few positions in the league.
Yeah, I think next season, I think, you could have a really good summer. I know you've lost a few really important players, but I think as well, you have been linked to some really great players. Well, I think it does depend on the summer you have as well. But I think with the league, it's so tough, because Man City, is so strong. Chelsea obviously got a new manager, and they could have so much success there. But I think, like you said, I think maintaining that Champions League spot, I think, is so important. I mean, obviously Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man City have had a lot of experience in the Champions League, but when you've been in it, you have struggled a bit. Do you feel like that might be down to the fact you've not really had that much experience of playing it? And I know United have done so well to get where they are, right now, because it has been tough for you guys. But do you feel like if you maybe got into Champions League, in a few seasons, would you be able to get a bit more further than you want to be?
Yeah, I think experience is definitely a big thing. The team is still really young, in terms of it's only 6 or 7 years old. So when you're looking at it like that, it's still a young team overall. The Champions League definitely was a bit of a disappointment. I feel like we could have potentially beat PSG. However, looking back, that Champions League experience probably let us down.
Yeah.
In that one. So signing players like Melvin Mallard on a permanent potentially. We're linked to Janssen at the moment as well. These are key players in the Champions League in terms of quality and things like that. So if we can get back into the top 3 and things like that, then maybe there's a chance for future seasons. But at the moment, it's just about, we just need to, I think, steady the ship a bit, because there's still uncertainty around Mark Skinner. He was only offered a 1-year contract as it is, so there's still unrest there. So it's going to be an interesting few years. Definitely we need to get in some experience, though, because if we're going to establish, you look at Chelsea and Arsenal City, as you mentioned, they've all got experience at the top consistently. Whereas United, we don't quite have that yet.
Yeah, I think it's so hard as well, especially when your club's only been formed for really not a long time as an Arsenal or these other teams. I think from where you were to where you are, I think it's a big achievement. I think it's hard when you don't have that much experience. I mean, Arsenal have had players like Kim Little that's been around for such a long time, and having that experience does help us. So I think if United were in it more often, I think they could definitely develop and go really far. I mean, you mentioned about Mark Skinner, and I wanted to just ask you a bit about him because I think for me, I see a lot of United fans that I know online. They're not really a massive fan of him. They might think, I know you guys did win an FA Cup, but in the league, I think you've dropped a lot, since you competed with the league the season before. For me, I expected you guys to get a bit higher up. I mean, how do you feel about him in the future at United? Do you feel like he could win you the league? Like, how do you feel about him?
Oh, this is a tough question. So obviously we got second under him and got pipped to Chelsea on the last game of the season a couple of seasons ago. So it proves in that sense United can compete. However, there was an assistant manager there in Martin Ho at the time, which I feel like was a big part as to why we did that. Obviously, he would argue he's just won the FA Cup with this team and deserves more credit than potentially he's getting. But I think when you've potentially got issues in and around the squad and so on, and you notice that a lot of players don't really give credit to him over the years. That when any player leaves and so on. I don't quite know where I stand on it at the moment because, like I said, he would argue he's just won the FA Cup, so and beat Chelsea for the first time. This is the first time we've ever beaten Chelsea. However, I think there's obvious issues there, and to me, there's better managers out there, and no manager is unavailable. You can get them if you've got the money and sell them the project. So I think there's definitely that element of things. It's going to be a really interesting season. I think if we start off the season bad and we are fourth, fifth, kind of come Christmas, I don't think he'll see the season out. And I think he'll be gone by around Christmas time. However, if we're kind of second or third, again, you look at it and go, well, he's clearly getting someone out of the players. So I think the first 3-4 months of next season is absolutely massive. I think for him, he was only offered a 1-year contract, which to me indicates that the club aren't massively sold on what he's doing. Because if they were, they'd have offered him like a 3-year deal or something.
Yeah.
Only offering one, I've kind of described it. He's almost on performance review for me. The club are almost looking at it going, well, right, you've got a year. What can you do? You do well, you'll get another contract. Is kind of how I've looked at it. So yeah, big few months, and he needs to get the players in pre-season early that he wants, and get them firing from the start of next season.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, it speaks volumes, the fact that they've not really gave him a big deal. I think because you've had success, they want to see how it can go. But I do agree with you, like if you say at Christmas time, like you said, if you're not doing great and the players aren't working, if you bring these new players in, I think I would probably move them on. I really like Casey Stoney when she was at United. I think it was tough because I think United have had quite a few problems with like the facilities and how they've been treated, and I think if players and managers aren't happy with that, they will move on. But I think Mark Skinner's got to really prove like what he can achieve next season. I think, like you said, if you can get second or third, I think that is a good season for you guys. And the Conti Cup. I mean, Arsenal won the Conti Cup, and I say a trophy is a trophy. I'm happy with that. But I think it's the league. Obviously, is so important to do that. I just want to say hi to Gary. Nice to see you in the chat. Big up to all of you that are watching as well. If you're still watching this, do hit the like button, do subscribe as well. But I did want to actually ask you a bit about Arsenal because for me last season, a big bunch of our players had an ACL injury. They were coming back, and I knew it would take some players a bit of time. But I look back on the season, I feel so disappointed because I mean, the signings we've brought in, I mean, to me, we should have done so much better than what we have done. I think with Jonas, I sort of feel like I do like him, but I think if he left, I wouldn't really complain. I think maybe it'd be a good thing. I think next season is a big season for us. I mean, sad, obviously, pull over as well, ACL injury. We've been done dirty with them, but I think I was hoping we would compete with Man City a bit more and Chelsea than we did. But as someone that's outside of Arsenal, I mean, what did you think of the season that Arsenal had?
Yeah, it probably was a bit underwhelming when you look at the players that Arsenal have got. Obviously, with Miedema gone as well now, that's a big loss, especially if she goes to Man City. I think that's a massive loss from an Arsenal point of view. I think it definitely was a disappointment. Obviously, Conti Cup aside, I think the league, I would have expected Arsenal to push Chelsea. I know City did in the end, but I would have expected Arsenal to be closer to that. With the players that you've got, obviously you mentioned Palova, for me, one of the best midfielders in the league last season. So it's going to be a massive loss for her next season. I think overall, I think it's a massive season for Jonas as well. Another manager that's potentially under pressure again, got on contract not so long back. But I feel like with the players that Arsenal have got and potentially might get this summer as well, they really need to be pushing the title. And not only that, getting back into the Champions League and actually competing in the Champions League. So obviously last season, not even making it through the qualifiers.
Yeah.
I think was a massive disappointment. And just from an outsider's point of view, just only having one English team in the Champions League group stages was a bit of a disappointment considering the strength of the WSL.
Yeah.
So I think having Arsenal back in there, one of the only side to win the Champions League and so on from an England point of view, getting a strong Arsenal team, the team's there. It just needs to gel together properly and to compete in the league properly again, and potentially the FA Cup as well, because I think that's been disappointing. I think from an Arsenal point of view, to not see Arsenal in the latter stages of the FA Cup.
Yes, it's for me, like, it's been really disappointing because when Jonas first came in, I'm pretty sure it might have been his first or second season, we got to the final and I thought, you know what, getting to the final is a big step for us because we've not really ever been like, in a final, like an FA Cup final for a few years. But, obviously we didn't perform that well. But since then, we've never really got back to that final. And it's hard because, like I said, with the Conti Cup, I think I'm happy to win it. But I think we've got to be up there winning other things as well. But I think Jonas, next season, I do believe that it's going to be, I think it should be like a make or break season for him, I personally think. But I think the problem that we're finding him in, especially, you have this issue as well, but I think managers these days are signing contracts when they've not necessarily done a good job. For your instance, you've won something, so I can understand that a bit more. But we've obviously not really won, I know we've had Conti Cups, but for me, a club like Arsenal, we're known, for winning quadruples, for winning, Champions Leagues and winning league titles. Like that's, Arsenal being a big club for that. So I feel like, I think with your situation, I think it's a bit more understandable because, it's not too much of a long deal. But I think for us, I think it's a bit questioning, a bit concerning about our future. But I did want to actually ask you about Alessia Russo because I know when she came to Arsenal, I was pretty surprised, to be honest. I think it was a bit of a bold move from her. And some fans have been happy with her season. Some fans have expected more from her. I personally think that she can. I don't think she's reached her best yet at Arsenal. I think she can go be even better. But what have you made of her so far at Arsenal? Do you think she has been, the right signing for us in order to, go a step further with the league?
Yeah, I think it was probably. Obviously, I'm going to sound slightly biased because I'm obviously disappointed in her for moving to Arsenal. If I take that hat off for a second, I think she's had a good season for Arsenal. I think I wouldn't say it's been amazing, but I wouldn't say it's been bad either. I think she's just had a solid, good first season.
Yeah.
Again, probably the right move for her overall. When you look at off the field as well, the commercial opportunities with Arsenal and so on. It's a really tough one, I think. Over time, obviously with Miedema going as well, Arsenal clearly see Russo as the future of Arsenal in terms of the attacking line. With obviously Stina Blackstone this as well. So I think she's got a big career ahead of her. She's still pretty young as well. I think she started off well. I think she's gone to double digits in the WSL last season, which was a good amount of goals for her. So yeah, I think overall it was probably a good sign. I'm really intrigued to see how she played because I still don't know. Having watched Russo for United, having watched her for England and watched her for Arsenal, I still don't know what her best position actually is. Because we've seen her off the right hand side, we've seen her in more of the 10 position, and we've seen her as the number 9. I still can't work out where I actually think the best position out of those 3 is, because she can do a bit of all of it. I potentially like her a little bit deeper because I don't think she's that good of a finisher, but I think her strengths are she can hold the ball up exceptionally well. She's very good at kind of setting plays up. So I think just behind a striker, I think probably suits her a bit better. So it's really going to be interesting how Arsenal utilise her next season with her, Blackstenius, and the other forwards that are kind of coming into the mix at Arsenal.
Yeah, I think like you said, she does sort of play in different type of positions. I think as well what I've seen, I mean, when I watched her at United, I saw this a lot, but she's very good at holding up the ball. And like you said, I mean, she's great at scoring, but it's also the other side of it. She's defended quite a lot when we've needed her. And I think as well, I think as I said about the season that Arsenal have had, I think the players took a long time to gel, and I think maybe that's why we didn't. I mean, she had a great season, but I think we could have seen more of her. And I do think a little bit is down to Jonas and the fact with some of the players we have, I think it's up to a manager as well to get the best out of these players. But I think with Alessia Russo, I think maybe if she wasn't here, Miedema might still be here. I think that's another thing, because Russo, we've obviously, it's been a big signing for us, and she's not really a player you'd put on the bench. You'd probably want to see her play, most games, or come on, in the 60th minute. Like, she's a very important player, and I know we mentioned a bit about Viv, and for me, like I said, I'm like so sure she's going to go to Man City, and I think for me it will feel like a slap in the face, but I think the club have sort of done it to themselves. I mean, what I want to get your thoughts on, the situation with Viv, because I mean, I know she's had a big injury, and after her ACL, she picked up a few other injuries as well. And I was hoping that we'd give her time to come back, maybe give her a year, a deal. I mean, I know she would leave Arsenal eventually, but what was your initial thoughts when you heard that she was leaving and she's potentially going to Man City?
I think that's the biggest shock, that she's potentially going to City, to be honest. I think I probably expected her to leave at some point. I think it's pretty obvious the relationship maybe isn't as strong between her and Jonas as well. And I think the understanding of seeing that Arsenal maybe see Miedema as disposable is a little bit worrying, I think, looking at it, because if you've got a player like that, you build a team around her. I know she's not been maybe as good since her injury, and that's always going to happen when you come back from such a big injury. But I feel like she's still one of the best, I think, in that position. And I think you build the team around her regardless of that. So I'm really intrigued to see how she does, to be honest, because I think if she does go to City, if City can get her firing, you've got her and Bunny Shaw together, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Forward line, that's just goals everywhere. So I'm a little bit disappointed. I think if I would be disappointed if I was an Arsenal fan looking at it going, I'm not entirely sure why we've let her go, but from the outside, it's a really tough one. I'm not quite sure. I can kind of see Arsenal's point that maybe she's not been as strong since her injury, but I still look at it and go, it's still Miedema. Like, you still build the team around her regardless of that. Maybe it's a bit of a risk. She's on ridiculously high wages. I get that, but for me, it's worth the risk.
Yeah, I think I always knew that her career, since her injury and since when she's been back, she's picked up for injuries. I know when we played Everton, when she got back, she scored, won us that game, and she did provide us those moments even after her injury. But I also agree with you, the fact that she wasn't ever back to how she used to be, like what we've known her for. And I don't mind her leaving at some point, but I think as well, when you have those injuries, it can affect players differently, mentally as well. So I felt like it would have been good to keep her, maybe just to make sure she felt right. But I also think she's at that age where, she wants to win things. I mean, Arsenal have been close a few times to titles, but we've never been able to quite get it over the line. And though the Champions League, we've been able to get to the semi-finals, which I think was bigger for us because we've always struggled to get past that line. So I was really gutted because I was hoping that it would really work out and she would be part of that. Like you said, working around her is, what we should be doing. But I think if she, has a success at Man City, it'll be hard. It's like it'd be tough to watch, but I don't really blame her for having a great time, enjoying herself, because she's been obviously, injured for such a long time. We've not seen the best out of her. But yeah, I think when we all saw that, it was like a massive shock. I mean, I heard, fans speculate about it, but I always felt like I'd want to keep her a bit. But I know as well, like you said, Stina Blackstenius, who I think for me has been a really important player for us throughout the season, and it's hard to kind of fit Miedema in the team because, like I said, Russo can play in different positions, and there's also Ford, there's also so many different players you need to fit around the team, so it is hard. I just wanted to read this question from Emerson. Big up Emerson. For your guess, who do you think will win the Champions League with the departures of Barcelona, Chelsea, Arsenal, and you meant Lyon, I think, with that one?
Sorry, what's that question?
Who do you think will win the Champions League from them teams?
It's hard not to back Barcelona, I think.
Yeah, they've been so successful. Yeah,
they're still just the best team. I know, obviously, there's going to be again a change with the manager Geralda's leaving as well. Kira Walsh potentially moving on. There's still obviously up in the air about that, but I just think Barca is so strong. I think their bench is probably stronger than most of the top teams in Europe anyway. So, yeah, I wouldn't look past Barca. But again, Chelsea are very, very close. Again, but it's going to be difficult, obviously, to see how they get on without Emma Hayes. That squad is not far away. Same with Lyon. Yeah. I think they're it's close. Those are the three. I don't think Arsenal will quite get there. I think it's between Barca, Chelsea, and Lyon. I don't know. I think Chelsea probably could have done it last season, potentially. They were very close. They've been close twice at beating Barcelona. I think same with Lyon, obviously, in the final as well. It can be done, but yeah. I think whoever beats Barcelona wins the Champions League, to be honest. I think if you beat them earlier in the semi-finals or something, you probably go on and win it. But yeah, it's hard not to look past that.
Yeah, I think Barcelona have been, so successful. I mean, I know when you play Chelsea got very close, and I know there were certain decisions people might not agree with, but it's very hard to compete with Barcelona because they've won it so much, they've had so much success. But I think with Lyon, I think they've gotten very close quite a few times. I know they've won it as well, but I think, like you said, I don't think Arsenal, I mean, I think it depends on how we start the season, but I don't see us winning it right now. Unfortunately, especially with how things with Jonas, I don't feel confident, but I do think we could get to that semi-final again, but it's taking that next step. And I mean, Arsenal, the goalkeeper situation, that's the thing as well. I mean, Arsenal have got quite a few positions. I mean, we've strengthened so much, but I think when it comes down to the goalkeeper situation, I definitely think that's something that we definitely need to sort out in the summer. But it's going to be good, the Champions League. I think it's always exciting, but I think you make a great point about the fact there's not many English teams that go far. It's always, occasionally Arsenal, but Chelsea, Man City get knocked out quite early on, I've noticed. I mean, it's hard when you're trying to balance the league, balance other competitions, but I think Man City really do need to get that step further next season as well, because I think it's good for the WSL, it's good for that women's football to see other English teams get really far. Like, I'd love to see a final one day, maybe of a, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, United. Like, I just think it'd be really good to see those type of teams playing them finals, because we don't really ever see it. But I did actually want to ask you about a player that has seen be linked to United. I don't think it would happen, but I just wanted to get your initial thoughts. I mean, Chloe Kelly to United, would you take her? Like, because I know that when she was playing at United throughout the season, she was on the bench a little bit, and I know she's been linked to PSG as well. I mean, would you take her at your club? Would she make that difference for you guys next season?
Oh, this is going to sound really controversial, I'd imagine. I wouldn't take her at United. I think I like to keep the rivalries there, and I think she's done too many things against United for me to look past, tapping the badge and shushing the crowd and all that kind of thing. I couldn't look past that. I don't think. I don't think it's going to happen anyway, so I don't think I need to worry about it too much. But she's an exceptional footballer. Don't get me wrong, but there's other players I would be looking at before.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Like, especially on Instagram when she's, posted pictures of her shushing the crowd. I just, like you said, I just couldn't see her at United. Especially, Man City, the team they've got as well, like Bunny Shaw, Miedemar probably as well. I just couldn't see him moving. But I mean, if it happened, I'd be very surprised because, I don't think she's a big fan of United. But I think, like you said, it's also quite good to see that competition, that rivalry there, because I think it makes women's football, even better. So I personally, it'd be good to see her stay at Man City, but I just don't know. I mean, I know she's been linked to PSG. I don't know if that would happen really, but I think it'd be nice to see her, Mary Earps together. But I honestly don't know what would happen with that. Big up AFC, always lovely to see you in the chat. But I just wanted to say thank you so much as well for coming on my channel today. It's been really good to chat a bit about everything, a bit about United, Arsenal. It's been really lovely to have you on, so thank you for coming on.
No worries. It's been good. It's a chaotic week from a United point of view. I don't expect next week to be much quieter either because we're coming up to international break, and I think a lot of deals will need to get done before the international break. So I think if for those of you neutrals and like just keeping an eye on all things transfer news, I think United is definitely a team to be keeping an eye on because I think there's going to be quite a few incomings now, as well as maybe 1 or 2 outs in the next few weeks as well.
I think I think the summer WSL football, the transfer window, I think it's going to be a very busy time. I mean, with United as well, we might see more departures. We might see some very exciting signings for you guys as well. But a big thank you to all of you as well that have commented live. It's been really lovely to read your comments, and the fact you've tuned in is really lovely too. As well, please do hit the like button for me. Do subscribe and turn on notifications on so you can stay tuned to my videos. But yes, thank you all for watching today. It's been really lovely to chat with you, do this video, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.